Hello, and welcome to this episode of The One Thing That Really Matters. The questions I ask with every episode are what really matters in life? Job, or family, or music, or politics, or religion, or sports, or maybe current events. All good questions. But how we handle these everyday experiences could very well determine our quality of life. You see, in our handling of everyday life situations, I believe there's only one thing that really matters, no matter what the topic or the situation is, which leads us to my handling of today's topic. Social media, good or bad? Well, will social media result in another American Civil War? Maybe, maybe not, but sometimes it looks and feels to me like it could. There may not be tanks on the ground or troops on the ground either in our streets yet, but well, actually, although law enforcement might qualify by some folks, but there does seem to be a disregard for other people's thoughts and their ideas, or their feelings, maybe even along with a general disregard for what has historically been considered right and wrong. Well, to me, it appears that people want to be able to use their favorite social media platform today without any boundaries and without any filters for what they say or what they post or they tweet or they TikTok or whatever they use, regardless if it comes from love or hate. It's like, here's what I think, and the hell with you if you don't like it. Pardon my language. But then social media is a great place for all of that, too. In fact, it lets someone or anyone do or say anything with impunity, it seems. Well, maybe not, but it just seems that way. No concern for others. Socially and spiritually, I think it matters that some folks have rejected any pretense of the greater good in favor of using social media platforms just to act as they choose, to say what they choose, and cancel anyone who might be so bold as to disagree. I don't see a lot of love in some of what goes on or what goes out over the what we call the www.net nowadays. Now, this may sound a little preachy, and I don't mean it to, but my thoughts on this subject come directly from the Bible, commonly called the love chapter. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7. I'll be quoting the New King James Version. This chapter, and specifically these verses, identify how people operating from social love will act. Operating from love, actually, will act. It says, love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. Love does not parade itself, is not puffed up, and does not behave rudely, does not seek its own, is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice in iniquity, but rejoices in the truth, bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. That being said, so it seems plausible to me to conclude that inciting discord, cursing people out or posting unflattering stuff is one that's operating outside the one thing that really matters, love. Now, I may get hammered over that comment, but I say it with love. Oh, and there's more to my thoughts process, though, than just referring to the Bible. I'm aware that some folks think referring to the Bible without specific proof is shallow and uneducated and unimaginative. Well, in my shallow, uneducated, and an unimaginative mind, it seems to me that people who set out to do harm to other people and are their property in order to make a point or to get their own way or to make their voice heard and so on, only really recognize things that suit their purpose. Now, I've seen folks, and you have too, I'm sure, look into the TV camera or talk on the radio or make a post on social media that is inflammatory or maybe just downright rude or nasty, and they explain their comments by saying that they are simply practicing the time-honored activities of protestation or political, social, or civil discourse. Well, maybe it's just me, but it seems to me that their ideas and philosophies might be better received if they came from the one thing that really matters: love. If in the process of trying to convince others that the ideas and philosophies you support are best for society, you destroy property, injure people, and ruin lives, then your style, your technique, your rhetoric might be worth a second look. Problem is, their techniques work. As a result, is it just me, or is it coincidence that in the wake of immediate access to so much social media, alternative lifestyles, bad attitudes, strange belief systems, wishes for harm, do it my way or the highway political viewpoints seem to have begun to be viewed as normal rather than strange, mainstream rather than fringe? Well, one of the things that has changed for sure with the advent of social media is the way and the speed with which information is communicated, which in turn has changed the way changes are made in society. For instance, back when snail mail and radio and 3 major TV stations were our only source of getting and receiving information, changes in society seemed to come slowly and incrementally. Many times we didn't even know what was actually happening around the world unless we heard it from Walter Cronkite. Now, some of the younger folks today may have never heard of Walter Cronkite, but you can Google him if you wish, and that's my point. Today, we have almost unlimited number of social media platforms from which to get our information and with which to send information. Platforms on which we're even encouraged to express our opinions, weigh in on the opinions of others, and so on. Much in the same way that I'm doing now. So you can imagine I'm very much in favor of social media. I'm not necessarily in favor of everything that's available on social media, though. But historically, good always comes with evil. Always has, always will, I guess. So here we are. Anyway, each social media platform apparently seeks to share a particular angle on every tidbit of information available. Just to reassure you that I don't consider everything on social media to be a bad thing. Overall, some of today's opinion sharing comes seasoned with love, I think. Just not all. Then there's the volume of information. Sometimes it seems like the volume of information coming to us every moment of every day is so fast and so much that it's like riding a motorcycle at 100 miles an hour with no helmet. I mean, any moment something bad could happen, and, well, that sells. It's a human way. But I digress. Along with the speed and volume of information nowadays comes the desire to express oneself without being inclined or content, for that matter, with having a discussion of ideas that includes give and take on both sides. In fact, many times there seems to be less and less tolerance for including objecting viewpoints or ideas or beliefs or other opinions in the online conversation. Instead, it seems more and more common to say as much as possible in as short a time as possible, in all caps if necessary, all the while demanding everyone else just stop, look, and listen. And if you dare to reject the thoughts and ideas and beliefs and demands, then the messenger sets about to inflict punishment by any means without regard for consequences. Some are even willing to use a corrupt political system, the courts, or physical disturbances, or verbal or physical intimidation, maybe abuse, shaming, boycotting, or defamation, or untruthfulness, and so on. If you disagree, it seems like nothing is out of bounds until you are canceled. That's one side of social media today. You know something that's interesting, though? Some of the very people who do this will be quick to describe their attitudes and actions as being fair and tolerant. And I think they mean it in some part of their psyche. Well, some of them anyway. So, what's going on? Well, even if I don't always know, I'll give you my opinion. So, here it is. More than 2 millennia ago, Aristotle opined, tolerance and apathy are the last virtues of a dying society. End quote. Well, while virtues such as goodness, righteousness, morality, integrity, dignity, honor, decency, respectability, purity, ethics, and things such as that have seemingly all but disappeared from much of the social media noise, tolerance is said to remain. More to the point, the virtue of tolerance for anyone and anything is demanded. Ironically, however, disagreements with these folks demanding this, their ideas, their demands, regardless of the reason, is not acceptable and will not be tolerated. Can you say Facebook jail, social media censorship, or cancel culture? I mentioned it earlier, but we used to hear the phrase, it's my way or the highway. Nowadays, however, it may be more appropriate to say it's my way. End of story. It's increasingly clear that Walter Cronkite is no longer delivering the news, and we must either conform to the loudest voices on social media or pay the price. Does all of this really matter, though? Well, certainly it does. You see, there's another side to social media. The side that allows us to have more information on our phone, in our hand, than we could ever have imagined in the past. The side that allows us to communicate with family and friends around the world in real time. The side that brings comfort to the family members who are separated from loved ones, but can look forward to FaceTime or Zoom or Google Duo or programs such as that. Social media has a side that makes the goods and services we need and that we want available at the touch of a mouse. It connects us with our ancestors and our history and so much more. But unless we keep it in the right perspective and use it in the right way, social media can turn into a distraction that keeps us from experiencing the freedom that comes with experiencing the one thing that really matters, real love. Love for life, love for one another, love for God, true love. Again, I'm not talking about the kind of love that makes you want to log on to some porn site. No, that's lust, and it's based on feelings, not love. I'm not talking about the kind of love either that makes you feel all gooey inside. That's emotion. In fact, we all share our share of emotion, but that goes away with time. The love I'm talking about is the love you decide to have for someone, the kind of love that will cause you to put yourself in harm's way for that special person, the kind of love for which you would give your life, literally, the kind of love, well, that kind of love, the kind of love the Bible speaks of when it says in John chapter 15, verse 13, I believe it is, greater love hath no one than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. That kind of love. Jesus expressed that kind of love on the cross. For you, for me. That kind of love that is unconcerned with how you feel. And more concerned with the other person. The one thing that really matters, love, isn't born out of emotions or feelings or familiarity or attraction, but because you decide to love as a choice. You choose to love someone without expecting anything in return. That's the one thing that really matters. Now, make no mistake, the struggle with social media is real, and it's here to stay. But keep in mind that today's social media platforms may very well be tomorrow's junk software. Remember the party line telephone? The car with a crank handle in the front bumper? The TV that you used to have to physically get up and walk over and change the channel? Or the 8-track tape? Or a million other things that have come and either gone or been replaced by something better. Social media is no different. It'll morph into something we don't recognize yet. No matter, though, there will always be something to fill up our time, to make the noise louder, or keep us from experiencing the one thing that really matters. Some will resist the change and some will embrace it. Through it all, though, let me encourage you to experience God's love, the kind of love that Jesus had. He was willing to give his life for our sins. You can still use all the fancy gadgets and the tools and technology and social platforms available. Just use them with love. Speaking of that, in the next episode, I plan to discuss the topic December 37th and December 51st, 2020. Confused yet? Well, I hope you'll join me and let me explain. There is a point to that, and it's a point of love. You can either agree or disagree. Either way, I hope to generate an opportunity for critical thinking and personal awareness. And no, it doesn't bother me that your opinion may be different than mine. As I will say every time, I reserve the right to be wrong, but that's not the one thing that really matters. Stay on social media, but I'll see you here next time. Bye-bye.